It's a privilege to participate in this debate on international relations and cooperation. And the Honourable Minister started off by referring to the importance of the date today, 10 May, being 29 years since the inauguration of President Mandela on that day. The two of us were both present at that occasion. And you referred to what Mr. Mandela set out as one of the core values of his policies in those days, or his view, namely justice, equality, and peace. And I will come back to that. I want to focus specifically on Program 2, International Relations, as almost 50% of the budget is spent in international relations, 3.3 billion rand. And in the budget report, it is stated as follows. The department would continue to pursue increased and improved access to South African products and services to foreign markets, which would contribute to the aim of increasing manufacturing and thereby contribute to an export-orientated economy. I think we all agree with that. Secondly, the department intends to become a catalyst and operate as a networking agent for South Africa Incorporated. The missions in particular are poised as key frontline role players to the pursuit of economic diplomacy and its component pillars such as foreign direct investment pledges, as well as contribution towards inbound tourism, etc. The question is, how do we achieve that? How do we get to that to materialize? And I had a look again, and I remembered what was said about Mr. Mandela's foreign policy. And it was described by some as follows. It could be seen as idealism, the importance of moral values and universalism. Further to this, he adopted the principle of universality and in foreign policy, to encompass universal liberal ideals and human rights specifically. And that placed South Africa in the unique, respected position to mediate in conflicts around the world. We were respected as a country. And the question is if that is still the case. Now, my concern is, Honourable Minister and Honourable Chairperson, that at the moment, it seems that there is a change in approach in the world in various aspects, but specifically by the US, by the United Kingdom, by Australia and other countries, which one could describe as the West. It seems that they are coming with a different approach, and they want to counter China's involvement, specifically the initiative by China to build infrastructure in Africa. And the impression that one gets is that they won't see rhetoric and buzzwords such as non-alignment or neutrality, or as you stated today yourself, that those relationships with those countries should not be neglected, that they do not see that as sufficient to necessarily to continue giving us access to their markets and agreements. And I think that is a very important and a very sincere concern that we should have. I listened to your speech very carefully, Honourable Minister, and you played a lot of emphasis on BRICS, obviously, and our involvement in BRICS. You referred to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and you say that we are concerned about that conflict and that you think diplomatic resolution is the case, and I think that is correct. And you also emphasized the role that BRICS could play in the processes going forward, and you said the theme for Africa is, for BRICS is BRICS and Africa. You refer to the other trading partners, US and Europe, and you say they should not be neglected. My concern is, Chairperson, that I don't think that is necessarily enough. To tell them that we don't want them to be neglected, I don't think that they care if we neglect them. Maybe we should be more concerned about that. And if you look at the reality, our exports to the US in 2022 was approximately $10.7 billion US, 38 times more than we export to Russia in that period, where we exported $282.85 million. It's a huge difference. If we continue in that vein, we may run the risk, obviously, that those markets may be becoming more and more difficult for us. And I was concerned that in your speech, you didn't refer to the AGOA situation at all. Maybe the Deputy Minister who was part of the delegation would refer to that. I hope so. That was the delegation by Mr. Cynthia Mufamadi. I think it's relevant. Unless we don't care, if we don't mind that we run in the risk in terms of US and those kind of experts. Well, that's just the reality. The fact of the matter is, Honourable Minister, that it seems that our emphasis is so much on BRICS and everything surrounding that, that we take the rest for granted. And I think that will be a huge mistake. But hopefully the Deputy Minister will speak just now and he will inform us perhaps of what was done in terms of the AGOA agreement. I think it's absolutely essential to think that we can just accept that that will be the case in future.
Thank you very
Well,
much,
thank you.
Honorable.